Hey there, folks. Meteorologist Matt Barentine trying to get things set up here in the Fox 10 News Now Weather Center as we get ready to give you the latest here on Fred. We just got in the 10 a.m. update. Hey, folks, meteorologist Matt Barentine once again. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything kind of set here and get my mouse going and get everything ready to go. Obviously, we got this system, which is Fred, that is making its way on in through Cuba. And I want you to, the main thing I want you to look at here this morning, and this will kind of give you a good explanation why things have changed from yesterday morning to this morning with the thinking of the system, is watch here on this loop, 12-hour loop. You'll see how it kind of looks like it's kind of jogging around, and it wasn't moving like that. Fred wasn't sort of bobbling around like that. What happened is it's a very weak system. It's only a depression, and the circulation fell apart late yesterday. And it's going through some reforming, and it's moved as it's done that. This is very common. They'll fall apart, and then they'll reform a few miles away. And that's what this has done. It's reformed off to the south and west, the center of circulation, and now starting to see some clouds finally starting to bubble up on the west side of the system. So it looks like it's just about to go offshore, start to get at least a little bit better of development. But it has moved. When you think about it, when you're trying to forecast something, where it starts is really important. If where it starts shifts by 30, 40 miles, then where it's going to go will shift as well. So that's what we've been looking at here with Fred. Everybody that's joining on our Facebook feed or our YouTube feed, do appreciate that. All right, so let's look at the track. Here's what we're looking at here. So this is the latest one. This just came out from the 10 a.m. update, and they're actually putting the low, looks like just offshore there, the north shore of Cuba. So that'll give it a chance to start to work its way to the north and start to slowly gain strength. It's going to have some issues, though, as it moves to the north, and I'll explain that in a second. And you'll see the center part of this line. Let's go ahead and zoom on in here. That hasn't really shifted much. So they moved, at least from the last update. Now, if you haven't seen this since yesterday, like, whoa, I mean, yesterday morning it was over around Apalachicola, but it took this westward shift. Now, keep in mind, we were in the cone the last 2 days anyway. So that's why I always say focus on the cone. There's a cone for a reason, because we know that it can shift around inside that cone. It's all part of the forecast. And, we still have a cone here that goes from Gulfport to Panama City. So there's still a cone here that we could see some more shifts with this center line here as we go along. Monday, 7 p.m., 50 mile per hour winds. That hasn't changed. Moderate tropical storm is what we're looking at here. Once again, I'll show you why here in a second, why we don't think this is going to be able to rapidly intensify. But you can see, once again, the center line now is on right on Gulf shores. But once again, a moderate tropical storm is what we're looking at here. And the other thing to keep in mind, I know everybody wants to focus right where the center would go, but it's going to be east of the center that gets the most weather out of this. You could be one county over and not get anything if you're on the western side of this. So it's all going to be on the eastern side, and you'll see that. I'm going to run a bunch of models, so if you got a few minutes here with your phone and whatnot, I'm going to go through a lot of this here with Fred and go through some of the different modeling and stuff. So here are the models here currently. And they got a couple wacky outliers, but you see we got most of them kind of focused in from about Pascagoula to about 30A, or a little past Destin there along 30A, and a lot of them kind of in between those two marks. So, and right now, Hurricane Center is going with Baldwin County. They're going through right about there. That's the center line. All right, so like I said, one of the things that, is even more certain than the path is the strength. We're pretty confident that this isn't going to be able to rapidly strengthen, and this is why. Because there's a large upper level low right here across the eastern Gulf, and there's wind shear here. Now it's a low amount of wind shear. You can see these winds coming out of the north. It's a low amount of wind shear. It's not terribly high. If this was a big hurricane coming across Cuba and going into the Gulf, it wouldn't hardly do anything to it. But this isn't a big hurricane, right? This is just a tropical depression. It's already really weak. It's just going to be struggling having to deal with that. That's why the Hurricane Center has gone back and forth between about 50 and 60 mile per hour winds with this system at landfall. So we don't anticipate that it's going to be able to grow a whole lot, but we do think that it'll at least be strengthening up into at least a low end or moderate tropical storm by the time it makes landfall. All right, so Let's check out some of the modeling here. This is going to be the American model, the GFS. And you can see the heavy rain here. That's noontime on Sunday, so dragging heavy rain, possibly up the west coast of Florida at that point, but for us, pretty quiet. Here we go to noontime on Monday. Navarre, about due south of there. Heavy rain on around Panama City and Destin on the east side of the storm. The east is going to be really important here. Here we are around getting close to noon on Monday, and there it is, the heavy rain. Actually 11 p.m., I'm sorry, in the evening on Monday. Heavy rain here on the eastern side of this. But look at the western side. Once again, lopsided, not seeing nearly as much. That's why where exactly the center goes is going to be so important. The American model, trying to see exactly where it's putting it. It's basically Fort Walton is where it's putting the center coming in. And all of the weather is east of that. So this could be one of those situations where parts of our viewing area get a good soaking, get a lot of really gusty winds, and the other half of our area doesn't get much of anything at all. It's the way these things can sometimes work out. So that is the what we call the American model. This is same model with the rain totals, and you can see, I mean, very little rain to the west, but then you get over to Panama City, Destin area, you're talking 4 inches or more possibly of rainfall. All right, so that was the American. Let's show you the European. These are both, these are our best models, and they show essentially the same thing. They're both pretty much in line with each other. Noontime on Monday, once again, remember Navarre for the other model, it's about the same. And making a landfall early morning Tuesday. Now, I just showed you the American model. It had the landfall over around Fort Walton. This one has it more into Baldwin County. And it's more the solution, I think, the hurricane center is going. In fact, I'm going to back it up just a smidge. Get it. Just want to get it closer to when this thing makes a big jump there. Let me get right on it. There we go, right around 1 a.m. So it makes a landfall, Baldwin County or perhaps Escambia County on this model. And you can see the heavy rain. Once again, on the eastern side, the western side not showing much of anything. And that's going to be really key for the forecast for this. Makes it a difficult forecast as well. Because once again, you can see the rain totals on this same model. So showing very little rain to the west, but then you go to the east, Panama City, Destin area getting around 4.5 inches rain. So these two models are in pretty good agreement, particularly with the rainfall. They show a slightly different landfall, but not by much. All right, so let's talk about the headlines here. Today, Fred is going to stay weak today. It's likely going to slowly gain strength tonight going into tomorrow morning, and that'll happen as it's crossing into the Gulf. And then we get to Monday, we'll have a low end to moderate tropical storm for parts of our area. It may not be the whole area, depending on exactly where it moves in. Rain, gusty winds, high surf, and probably the biggest risk for life here will be with the rip currents in the Gulf. Today is a beautiful day. Anybody wants to go to the beach today? Fine. It's going to be nice out there. Low rip current risk today. Tomorrow it goes up to moderate in the morning. I think by the late afternoon or evening we go up to high with the rip current risk. So from Sunday afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, high rip current risk, really rough in the Gulf. We want to keep people out of the water because that's going to be one of the most dangerous parts of this whole thing. Since it is just a moderate tropical storm, most houses and stuff can handle that. But, the surf can be where folks can find themselves in trouble. All right, I wish that Fred was the only game in town, but it's not. We have this one here. That is Grace. It is a tropical storm as well. It now is a tropical storm. And look at that. It's following kind of a similar path as Fred. So crossing the Caribbean, going up that way. And so we'll be watching this one real close. Keep in mind, Fred is right here. So, that's in the same, that's in the cone of this one. Craziness when you have tropical systems going on very similar paths right after each other. Something else I'll quickly mention, I don't know if you've heard about this morning, there is a 7.2 magnitude earthquake in Haiti right here at the very tip there of Haiti. A lot of folks remember that devastating earthquake they had back, I think it was 2010 or something like that. Well, that was a 7.0. This one's actually been a stronger one, so you can imagine there's been a pretty horrible day down in Haiti here because of that. So I wanted a quick mention. Also mentioned earlier that today's going to be a nice day here. Or if you want to go to the beach or something, it's going to be fine. And that's how it looks on the radar right now. It's pretty quiet. And a futurecast shows what's going to be a quiet day. Now, evening, we'll have some storms coming on in, and you'll see that by late in the afternoon, some storms begin bubbling up. So we have rain chances today, but I don't think they're until later in the day. So if you have some things you want to get out and do, you should have no problems doing that. Just make sure you stay hydrated, because obviously it is going to be smoking hot out there. Here's once again that beach forecast. Like I said, the beach looks good today. It'll be hot. Low rip current risk today, high risk by late tomorrow. That's what I want everybody to remember. So here's your afternoon forecast. It'll be well up into the 90s. Heat index values around 105. So really hot indeed here for us across the Gulf Coast. And here's that long range forecast. So obviously the storms today. Now tomorrow, I've been kind of looking at the models, and most of the models have the rain coming in later tomorrow as well. So we might get through half the day or so okay on our Sunday. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that. And then you got Monday and Tuesday. Now the rain chances here are going to so much depend on exactly where it comes in. Let's say the forecast is spot on right now. Let's just say it is, and it comes in around Baldwin County or right along the Florida-Alabama line. That'll mean almost no rain for any area west of that, like Mobile or Washington or Mississippi counties. Almost no rain. It could be a couple here and there, but for the most part, it won't be that much rain. Now, in the eastern half of our viewing areas, in the panhandle of Florida, there'll be a ton of rain. 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 inches of rain. So it'll so much depend on exactly where that comes in, whether or not you get rain Monday and going on into Tuesday. And then after that, we go back to normal. By Tuesday, late on Tuesday, this thing is gone, it's done, it's moved out, and we're looking at regular weather again. But Monday and Tuesday, once again, is the timing. Here for folks that may have joined a little late, I know a lot of folks bounce in and out of these. I want to go and quickly show you the latest numbers. It's still just a tropical depression. It is not back into tropical storm strength yet. Winds of 35 miles per hour. And I want you to notice too, watch, see how it makes this little jog? That's because the center fell apart. And now it reformed. When it reformed, it moved. It moved off to the southwest by about 30 miles. And that happens with very weak systems all the time. And that's why, I don't know if you remember from a couple of days ago when they had the forecast come from the Hurricane Center, it went from Jacksonville all the way over into our area. So we were in the cone a couple of days ago. It was a very wide cone because the Hurricane Center knew that this was likely to happen, that we could see this thing falling apart, then kind of getting back together, falling apart, getting back together. And as a weak system goes through that, it bounces around a lot. It doesn't move in a linear fashion. So that's, like I said, it's changed the trajectory of the forecast path. Now it's in our area. It's dead in the middle of our area. Goes as far as Panama City and as far as Gulfport, but we're right in the center of it. And you see the center line goes into Baldwin County. Definitely not too worried about this growing, intensifying quickly. It's got a lot of headwinds. It's got to deal, well, one, it's just so weak right now. Then two, as it goes into the Gulf, there's an upper level low here that in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's not good for tropical development. It's going to keep it weak. It'll strengthen a little bit, but it's going to have a hard time getting much stronger than sort of a mid-grade tropical storm. And we can deal with this. It comes in 50, 55 mile per hour winds. It won't be a huge deal for us, obviously. The main thing we worry about with systems like this is how much rain are they going to drop. And right now, most of the models show at best it's going to be 4 to 6 inches. We can handle that too. So unless something drastically changes, the concern levels here aren't really high, but you know, it's a tropical storm. We always want to make sure we keep a good close eye on them for those changes. And you know, something we're going to have to deal with late on Monday. This is Monday at 7 p.m. So late on Monday, early on Tuesday. So means I won't be sleeping Monday night because I'll have to be out and up and dealing with this. So looking forward to that. But I mean, it's the way these things go. They don't punch a time cards. They come when they want to come. So anyway, once again, that is Fred. Likely as a low end to moderate tropical storm late Monday, early Tuesday. Main thing is it's going to be windy, obviously. There's going to be a good bit of rain on the east side of wherever it makes exact landfall. And of course, high surf and high rip current risk. The high rip current risk is probably the one thing that's the most dangerous out of all of this. So all this to keep in mind as we go through the next several days. We'll continue to track it for you here at Fox 10. We'll continue to keep you updated. We have another update at 4 with a new, every 6 hours is when they come out with a new forecast cone. So we're going to try to keep you updated with all that. Of course, we'll be updating you tonight on Fox 10 News at 9 p.m. as well. And back here tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And of course, for other updates as needed and warranted as we prepare for the system. We don't have any watches up yet. I would not be surprised that if at 4 o'clock, we get that 4 o'clock update, if we don't go under a tropical storm watch. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you hear that on your phone or whatever, expect it. It's going to happen, and likely will happen during the 4 o'clock update this afternoon. So just something to keep in mind. Right now, meteorologist Matt Barentine. Once again, you're looking at Fred there. Be dealing with this storm here next few days. Have yourselves a good weekend. Like I said, today's going to be a nice day, just really hot. So make sure you get out and enjoy it now before we have to deal with this storm coming up later on Monday and Tuesday. Have a good one, folks. Thank you for joining.